One of my goals this year with the Camo Matrix is to introduce you to the talented individuals behind the camo brands and patterns that I share on the Camo Matrix YouTube channel and website. This will give us the opportunity to explore how their designs come to life, understand the inspirations that drive their passion for creating camouflage, and get to know the people behind the products that they dedicate themselves to. Last year, I had the pleasure of introducing you to Joel Williams of One Rate Gear, and to kick off 2025, my first conversation will be with Jesse Todd of One Mission Outdoors. Jesse is the creative force behind the camo patterns at One Mission Outdoors, which are available on their website. And if you stick around until the end of the video, you'll find out how you can be entered to win a One Mission Outdoors hoodie, just like the one that I'm wearing right now in the Sasa pattern, but in the pattern of your choice. But first, let me introduce you to Jesse. I mean, we're actually going, so why don't you, let everybody know, who you are and what you do here, camo related. Well,
Oh my
and
gosh.
really camo or apparel related or just hunting related.
I guess let's just start in the very beginning. So I served in the Army for 22 years, and most of the 22 years I was an infantry guy. So I worked a lot with the outdoors and the combat arms of the military. And throughout that time, I had to really, you know, teach people how to utilize the terrain and camouflage techniques and everything like that. So I grew accustomed to seeing what looks good, seeing what looks bad, and understanding like depth perception and everything, because in reality, that's what the enemy looks for, right? Um, on that, I, you know, I'm an artist on the side too. So I've always been an artist. I've loved to draw and create things. And, at the end of my service, I bonded the One Mission Outdoors guys together. And someone mentioned, having a team pattern or a team camouflage. And we were all talking about Realtree and Sitka and all that stuff, right? And it just sort of dawned on me. I said, I think I can create something for the team. And that's just sort of where it came from. And that's where we're at right now, is just sort of in the development phase. But that's sort of a background on the camouflage and how I present it to, what you're wearing right now,
Yeah,
right?
and
Things
this
like
is what now. Do you say Sasa or are you calling it?
sassafras. So
Okay,
that's short for the sassafras tree.
yeah,
And yeah, that's just sort of the thing that I went with is, we all try to look like trees. So I put a little military spin on it with the acronyms, and I don't know, that was just something that I just came up with, and it sounded cool too. And there's some cool sounding trees out there.
and now you've got a bunch of them that are on your website.
Right.
Um,
Yeah. I think I've made in the upwards of 25 different patterns so far. Now, will I use them all? I don't know, but some work better than others, and that's, I guess, what we're trying to really nail down, is which one is going to work the best and what do I want to go with in the future. Because, like I said, we're in research and development. I would love to compete against ASO or the First Light guys or something like that. I'm a competitive person. I think we have a chance. Sure.
yeah, yeah. Well, and when you come up with ones like this, you had me take a picture of like an area that I was hunting in, and I
Right.
just sent you a tree that was
Yeah.
just it was
Yeah.
just off. I think when you were asking me, I was actually in a tree stand at that moment, and I was like,
Right.
I was actually surveying the area, and I was like, well, this as far as the trees that I'm in, that one is probably better than the one that I'm in, and I was going to move my stand over there. And so if someone sends something to you, are you creating one off of that, or are you picking from something that you've already got?
So I started with Adobe Illustrator, and I started with Adobe, and I went out and I took a picture of just an area that I hunted, and we're surrounded by cedar trees where we're at, all those low junipers, and so it's like a dark green. And I just took a picture of that, and I started editing it and just sort of tailoring it to what I wanted in a camouflage, and that's where the cedar came out the pattern, the CDAR. That's what I created. That was the first pattern I made. But it all started with a picture. And just like you sent me, I sent you, I don't know if you got it, but I sent you one back. And, I created a custom camo for you based off of the terrain that you're hunting.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's interesting. Um,
Yeah.
and that's are you trying to offer that as a service?
Not, I would love to. I mean, I think that would be a cool service. I, I could do custom stuff, absolutely.
Yeah.
But am I there yet? Not yet.
Yeah. You're trying
I'm
to
still
narrow down
playing.
to
I'm
some
playing. Yeah.
from certain ones. Which and of those, have you decided which ones those are yet?
There's a lot of really good ones. I really like, there's one that I developed for a friend up in Alaska, and it's called H-Lock or Hemlock. But I call it H-Lock, so it has a pretty cool name. And I incorporated some actual mountain patterns in there. But he took a picture of the area that he was hunting. And it's real distinct. It has that mossy, leech type stuff on the side of the rocks and everything.
Yeah.
The northern Alaska open terrain. But I ended up, messing with it enough that it actually came out really cool. So I'm really proud of that one. I think the cedar's really good. I think it blends in well, and based off how deer see, I think the cedar really breaks up your outline a lot. And I think I've perfected that one where I want it the most out of all the patterns. That's the one I paid attention to the most, for sure.
Yeah.
So out of all of them, I think those two I like the most so far.
So when you're developing one, you'll take maybe a photo of an area that you're wanting to match. And so what's the
Mhm.
process of, once you take that photo, where do you go from there?
So what I'll do is I have a workstation, and just as a graphic designer, I'll take that, I'll go into Adobe Illustrator, and I'll start cropping it. And I'll duplicate that picture, right? And then I'll crop a little bit out of that one. And then I'll adjust the hues and the settings and the opacity of everything, until I see a pattern. And then I start developing something, and then I'll add those other colors to it that match the picture. And then I'll take some, my own creation of, I guess, like doodling or whatever. You can do an overlay of that, and then you just keep adding to it. So really, I take one picture, and then it turns into 27 layers after you're all done with it. It's a pretty interesting process, and that's what a lot of people do out there.
Oh yeah. And
Yeah.
so and I noticed, does this say, I think it says made in the USA, doesn't it? On the back.
Correct. Yeah.
So you're
Right.
having them made, here, so that's good. Uh,
Yes, they're a little bit more expensive because that company is a drop ship. And the service so I'll build the camouflage pattern
Yeah.
for you. And then I'll go into their program, and I'll build the whole entire piece of apparel according to what I think will look the best.
Yeah.
And for SATA, I can condense that pattern smaller, or it can be, what would you say, macro patterns, right?
Yeah, yeah, macro, yeah, micro, macro, and mimicry.
Right. And it's exactly that, right? I can play with the adjustment and however you see fit, right? And I can send the proof back to you, and you're like, yes, that's cool.
Yeah.
And now I know through testing in my own, I got a closet full of stuff over here. I know what patterns look good.
Yeah.
I know, the right file size and all that stuff. But it's just a way that I can provide someone just another tool in their kit bag, just to add into, you're wearing it over a hoodie or something, and that's the stretchy one that you have.
Yeah, this one was pretty good. So what I actually did is I took your advice, and I may have posted a photo out there. I'll put it up on here when I actually put this out there. But I put my insulating gear, because I was sitting in a tree in 20-degree weather, and I put this
Right.
over the top of it. And I was actually
Right.
using it, in a tree where, I needed to kind of look like I was in that canopy versus, up against the base of the tree.
Right.
So yeah, it's stretchy, and I've got another camera here to where I can actually, it's better.
Yeah.
So it's stretchy, and it covered over me. And I've been wearing it around too. And it was kind of fun. My wife, she's like, "You like that thing, don't you?" And I was like, "Well, when I get something, I'm going to wear it around and test it out and see
It's
how I like
comfortable,
it."
right?
But
It's not like overly expensive. It's durable. It's gonna last a long time. I've like this, the first one that I made. So I got a whole closet full of like just test stuff, right?
yeah,
Um, and it's just trial and error. Like what looks good, looks bad. And, it's just how it is, and that's how I'm sure all patterns start. It's just like, oh, that looks terrible. Oh, that one looks pretty cool, right? Like it's all just trial and error, and I want to perfect it. I just want to offer a solution to guys like me who, I don't wear the same type of camouflage when I go out. I'll use a mixture of stuff
yeah.
and
Well, yeah. I
have
mean, yeah. That's we were saying like when I was because I was asking you because I wanted to put you on the Camo Matrix tool, and
yeah,
I can put in there something that's got a different set of pants, or I could put a
right.
different top on there. And so I was asking, but you mentioned to me you're kind of exploring the pants also.
So I found someone here local in Texas that, can help me produce pants at a decent cost. And then I can do the same thing for that top, right?
Yeah,
And then I can offer all 30 of mine, and you can be like, okay, I want that one on this pants, but I want a different top. So I want to select Sasa for my top. And then
yeah,
you can combo those, right? Or you want to send me your picture, I'll make your own camouflage and I'll put it on some pants and a top that comes with, the whole shebang, right? It comes with a face mask and everything. So it's just it's just like an all-in-one place where you can submit your own camo and get it made for you, right?
yeah.
At a decent cost.
So if they wanted to do that, they would contact you like through the web through the contact on the website.
Right. So our camouflage isn't available right now because I am working very hard on how to go about selecting all of the patterns, right? Because there's a lot.
Yeah,
And um, so I'm condensing it down. My idea is to do like a camo by species, camo by terrain, camo by whatever, right? Like, and
like
you say, I want to hunt turkey. And then it takes you to what I think the best camouflage are for a turkey hunt,
yeah,
right? And then that'll take you to what kind of apparel you want. Oh, I want a lightweight hoodie with some lightweight pants, or I want
yeah,
heavy pants and a lightweight hoodie.
yeah. And of course that could
So,
vary too,
yeah,
depending on where you're at. Because down there, like here, it's kind of funny because turkey season you're green. It is green here.
absolutely.
And then
Yeah.
I'll go turkey hunting out like in Kansas or Nebraska, and you're
Yep.
still it still looks kind of like fall weather out there, or at least fall
Right.
terrain, um, or it looks like winter if you go further up for that. But
Yeah.
yeah, so there's a lot of different options definitely with turkey, and of course their vision is way more sharp than a deer is. I always feel like if they've seen
Damn.
you and you're trying to fool them with camo, it's already the game is over with. Really.
That's, all of us in One Mission Outdoors. There's 22 guys in One Mission Outdoors right now, and we're all super psyched already. I mean, we just got done with deer season, but turkey is our jam, and we love it. And I can't wait to test some camouflage out there this year and see actually what works. It'll be fun.
Oh yeah. So you got good turkey grounds, I guess you hunt out there.
We do, yes. So we hunt. So I'm in direct central Texas, and yeah, Fort Hood, which is just north of us, and a lot of us surround, Fort Hood and everything, and we get to enjoy hunting on Fort Hood,
Really?
and anybody can come down and hunt. Yep,
Okay. Yeah.
it's hit or miss sometimes, but the hunting's real good. There's some great bucks out there. It's a do-it-yourself type thing
Yeah.
where it's either bow or like a slug gun during deer season, or like shotgun during turkey. But yeah, it's all unguided. It's real fun.
Yeah.
It's great.
Okay. Yeah. Well, do it yourself. I feel like is the best.
I
Because
think so too.
you learn the struggles. So as far as your hunting background, did you hunt? Was it passed down to you, or is it something you discovered later on, or through buddies?
We were just talking about this today. So we're talking about doing a podcast, and I introduced the guy that sort of influenced me to get into hunting to a lot of the guys on One Mission Outdoors already. And I said, hey, this is the guy that introduced me. And I guess I was just influenced through a friend of mine. I was taught how to shoot by my grandfather. My grandfather was in the Army. My father was not, but I was in the Army. And, I didn't really have a mentor, and I just got into it on my own. When I moved up to Idaho, that's when I started turkey hunting, and it was really hard.
What area of
Chasing it.
Idaho?
So I was in like southeast Idaho, Pocatello area.
All right.
Yeah.
I lived in the Big Woods River Valley, so near.
Okay.
If you know where like Sun Valley and Haley is.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. But back before it was the thing that it is now. Long time ago. Actually, the massive earthquake they had there. I was there for the earthquake that was up there.
Oh wow.
So that was in the 80s, but it's always nice to go back over there. And I like to pronghorn hunt out there.
I would love to do that. I haven't done that yet. I really would like to try that out. Yeah, for sure.
I have never done it with a rifle. I've always done it with a bow, and it is like the hardest. It's fun but very hard.
I bet, yeah.
And I'm not the type of person that likes to sit in the blind, and so I like to move around, and I'll walk 10 miles in a day just trying to head them off at the pass, really, and so
sure.
It's a lot of fun. I'll do Idaho and Montana, and for pronghorn, and I'm a points collector for Wyoming because
you're not the only one. We got a couple guys in the team that do that as well. We got a lot of public land hunters in One Mission Outdoors, and especially here, it is public land. Like, we consider it public land because anybody could really come hunt. It's not just like veterans or anything. It's public, right?
Yeah.
But it is do it yourself. And I think a lot of us take pride on making a lot of that happen on a public piece of property, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, absolutely. Like Idaho, that's where I learned the hard way. And I chased birds like every single spring for 3 years. It was tough. Yeah. Like I didn't harvest anything because I was brand new to turkey hunting, but I didn't give up. And I think that's the key to hunting, right? Like, you just got to keep trying.
Oh yeah. Well, and for me, it's not about the last couple of seconds when you actually get to pull your trigger. It's more about that whole adventure. And so I think, someone that wants to go and sit and, just pull a trigger, they're a guided hunt kind of person, and, and that's perfectly fine. Right. But some of that struggle is part of the learning process and actually part of the fun. It's kind of like, you never tell the story of how you showed up somewhere and you did something that was really easy because the story's done. Yeah. You tell a story about how you learned something, what you failed at. And actually, the things that I do, I feel like I'm a trial and error kind of guy, and so I'd prefer that. So that's good. That's a good way to learn. Now, do you ever go back there to hunt? To Idaho?
To Idaho?
Yeah. Or to any other? Do you just hunt Texas, or you actually? You said you got some guys that are point collectors, and I guess go out and
hunt. We have opportunities to go visit each other and whatever. We've established sort of a network around the United States, but I am gonna do my best to get to Kentucky to go hunt turkey with a friend of mine, Tom Martinak. And hopefully that'll happen. That's the plan. Being in the military, we travel a lot,
Yeah.
and all of us get different experiences in different states. And I've hunted turkey in Louisiana. I've been blessed to go to Florida to hunt turkey and harvested in Osceola,
Really?
hunted
Okay. Yeah.
Merriam's, but Rios here in Texas, I don't know. They're hard to beat, especially where we're at. But I'm a huge deer hunter, bow hunter, and a lot of us are big bow hunters for sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
Would I go back to Idaho? Yeah, I haven't though. But yeah, I would love to. It'd be
Yeah.
great.
Yeah. That's what. Um, when you were, yeah, I think when we were first linking up, I was in Montana during that time, kind of doing like
Okay.
well, I had a pronghorn and elk and a deer tag, so I was spread
Yeah.
around quite a bit.
Multi-hunting. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so I was all over the place trying to get that done, and so that was a lot of work. I mean, just in Montana, it was, I can't remember, a couple thousand miles. It seemed like going all over the place because you'd go all the way to the eastern side of the state because that's where it's basically like Wyoming with pronghorn,
Amazing.
and then you'd go up into the alpines and above the tree line in a couple of places. So it's pretty good, and so that's why it was harder to communicate with me then.
Yeah. Did you harvest anything? Did you end up?
No, I did not. No.
Yeah. That's okay.
Yeah, I
Like
know.
you said, it's part of the process, right?
Well,
It helps us grow.
yeah. Well, what I like to say is that um, when I go back, I'll actually have a lot more information that because that was my first year of doing that.
Right. Yeah.
To where when I go back, I'll be able to apply that information to hunt better. And I think it'll
Sure.
be, and it'll actually, like for people that don't go out west, this is always a common conversation. You go out there and you've got this massive land that you can pick from, and it's almost
Sure.
like when you've got too many projects going on, and you like which way do I go, and it's kind of like turning it into you're narrowing it down to that small area that you need to focus on, and learn that area, and then what you learn and apply there, and what worked or what you felt like didn't work, then you use it somewhere else. I mean, I was face to face with moose. I was face to face with I had two bull elk at 25 yards, and the wind was the wrong direction, and they basically they were bedded down and they stood up, and their antlers were just going everywhere looking for, because I was behind some willows, and the sad thing was I knew where the road was, and it's like I was like, there's no way there's anything that's up here, and the road was maybe 200 yards up, and
Right.
I was walking, and I had just gone through an area, and I saw this massive rub, and I was like, okay, there's a rub here, so that's good. And I saw some beds. I'm like, okay, I need to focus on this area when I come back through. And so I was walking, and the wind was blowing across me this direction, kind of maybe this
Okay.
way. And so I
It-
had a choice of going this way into the road and this way to the road, and my vehicle was that way. So I went this way, and the wind was blowing across. And as soon as I walked over, then both those bulls stood up and bolted out of the way. And then I had a nice muley 50 yards from me a couple of days later in that same area. So,
And the wind was bad, huh?
yeah, well, the wind was swirling with the muley, and he was in a bunch of deadfall, and there's no way I would have been able to get over to him, and he had bedded down in there, so as protection. And so I actually set myself up against the base of a tree,
Yeah.
and was sitting there for a while, and I kind of looked over, and I'm like, that's kind of strange. And it's kind of one thing that I tell guys is, like, when I sit, I like to scan. I like to use my binos and just kind of set them slightly into the depth of the trees, and I scan, and I'm doing that, and I see the body of a deer, and I'm like, well, that looks a little strange, but I can't see the head. The head's behind something, and he's standing there, and I see his antlers like turn and just look right at me. But he didn't really, because I wasn't moving, he doesn't know what it is. I mean, at 50 yards, their vision isn't that great, and I'm just up against the base of a tree. And so it took him a little bit. We kind of had a little bit of a stare off for about 20 minutes before he had enough. But there's no way I could have
Okay.
done anything. But it was like moments like that made me think that, okay, I'm doing the right things. I'm seeing things that people normally don't see. And black bear. Of course, out there when you're in Montana on that portion, uh, you know, south of Bozeman, west of Bozeman, um, you're willingly walking into grizzly country. so that's
Right.
so that's the other thing. Like for an Easterner, and you're out there and you're because out here it's like you don't really have much to worry about. Even if occasionally somebody has some trouble with bear, but not very often.
Right.
But
Yeah.
out there where you're walking around and you're getting into some thick areas and um, you look over and there's big old bear claw marks on the tree. You're like, okay, they're around here. They're definitely in the area. But
That's cool.
but yeah, so it's it's I think it's a great industry to try to get into. And I'm glad that you actually. I don't know if you found me or I found you. Um,
You know, I thought it was really interesting to see, you know, because I was trying to mimic what you were doing, right? Like I would, because I scout a lot. I get out in the woods a lot and I walk around a lot, and I look for sign and do the whole process just like anybody else does. Um, but I also try to get in the brain of whatever I'm hunting, right? Like, so I start seeing things from a deer's perspective, and then I started YouTubing it, and then I came across you, and I was like, oh, this guy's doing exactly what I want to do. And what does it look like, right? And
yeah,
it just got the gears turning, and I watched quite a few of the videos. And I have like tons of camouflage too.
yeah,
Uh, and I just like, I don't know. I couldn't find a cedar pattern. Like that's what really I was looking for, and I couldn't really find anything that I liked, like the type of apparel that I usually wear. And so I was like, I think I can make my own thing, right?
yeah,
And then it just started. I started playing with it more, and developing more camouflage patterns, and asking guys for pictures. Like, hey, take a picture of your hunt area, send it to me, let me see what I can do with it. And it just kept going. And quite a few guys across the team have a piece of the camouflage that I've made for testing purposes, and some guys love it.
yeah,
um, Danny, we got a guy named Danny Ray, downright deadly. um, he he killed a nice buck this year wearing owl pattern, and it's a funny story too. I got to hook you up with him. He'll have to tell you all about it, but it's just one of those things, like maybe the pattern did work pretty well, and because like it was, it's a folly happened, right? Like I'm not gonna get into the
yeah,
specifics, but he made some noise, and he just stayed still, and that's what it's all about, right? But he got the harvest, and he was wearing owl camo pattern, so I don't know, but the goal is to get all the guys into some stuff this spring, and then keep working on the apparel side of the house, because really I don't want to be an apparel producer.
yeah,
I want somebody else to adopt a pattern that I offer, and use it on their apparel that they want to sell. Like I got too many things going on.
Oh, I got you. Well, I saw now. There's some of the. I was kind of going through the web page, and I was like looking at the different guys that are on there. And now, are you actually like a general contractor?
So I am, yeah. My full-time job right now, since I retired from the Army, I'm a project manager
Yeah.
for a contracting
Oh,
company.
okay.
Yeah.
All right. I'm actually a general contractor.
Okay, yeah. So yeah,
So, um,
dude,
it,
jack
yeah.
of all trades,
So,
right?
so
Kingdom of none.
somewhat. I don't actually go out and seek things out. I'll build things now and then,
Yeah.
but I used to until I got beat down by clients. And so I've decided to, I'll get a lot and I'll build a house, and then I'll get a lot and build a house.
That's
But
fun.
my
That is
problem is
fun.
that I'm way too hands on. Way too hands on.
Yeah.
Like my behind me, you can't see it because of this, but I built an addition on my own house, and this
Yeah.
was I think this is a 900 square foot addition, because my house, the original house was built in the 50s, and so I built it, and like other than like brickwork, everything, slinging OSB up on the roof, carrying it up, cutting it, laying it, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
whenever I build a house, my problem is I'm in it too much. I'm out there. I'm on top. I'm on the roof with the
Yeah.
roofers, and so it gets a little bit crazy. But
You know,
but
I I don't I try to not hover too much. I like hanging out with the guys that are doing most of the stuff that I don't really know
yeah,
how to do, like the electrical and all that junk. But you know, it's fun. It's my passion's the outdoors,
yeah.
just like yours, I'm sure.
Well, being in the construction industry kind of puts you outdoors. So
Yeah, it really
yeah,
does.
and
Yeah.
it's probably someone that's outdoorsy. Probably, like, do you feel like when you're in the house and you're doing like maybe paperwork that you're like, I got to get outside and do something productive? You know?
Well, the only thing that makes me feel like I'm doing something is if I'm doing like the one mission outdoor stuff or
Yeah,
creating camouflage,
yeah,
and but it's all a hobby right now. I like doing it. I love creating. Um, I'm just trying to put my skills to use in some kind of way, I guess.
yeah. So now, so you're saying, so your background, do you have a graphics background,
So I
or is that
actually
self taught?
I have a bachelor's degree in environmental science,
Okay,
but I initially went to school for graphic design, but since I don't know, I've always been like a doodler and
yeah.
an artist. Right? Always. I don't know. It just sort of comes natural, I guess.
So um, someone that's been into that. So some of what I use is kind of funny because I use a program that doesn't even exist anymore. I don't know if you're familiar with like Macromedia. Um, is when it first came out, like Flash graphics. Um,
Okay.
they had a program that they called Fireworks.
Okay. All right. No,
Macromedia. This is
never
from
heard of
like
it.
2000, maybe a little bit like before. I still use it. So I
So
don't use,
it works,
I
right?
never went to Photoshop and didn't like it. And
Yeah.
I do have a newer version of something else that I use, but it's kind of funny. But my core design, so like all the camos that get put up on the Camo Matrix, start
Yeah.
out in a 20-year-old program. So they get pulled into a 20-year-old program, and then
Ah,
I take them and then I put them in a newer program to do some of the deer filters, because I can actually put um, pre-made filters on them. And then of course with the actually it's actually the same filter, the same filter file to be able to apply the deer vision. But I
that's
thought,
interesting.
yeah, if you kind of had a graphics
I
background, you
thought
might.
you did it on your phone or something because there's a couple. I don't know. I think there's an app maybe or something that lets you do the same. I don't know. Where did you come up with the program?
The one that's online, or
Yeah, on the YouTube one. Like,
oh,
how do you
do
switch
all
the?
that. I
Yeah,
built it.
that's cool. Yeah.
The filter is an LUT filter that gives a like a protanopia red green colorblind.
Okay.
But the blur, all the movement, that's done through a video animation. So I learned that whole program so that I could do that. And the
So is that
website,
based off of like, just I don't know, research like
yeah.
whitetail? Oh, that's
Um,
cool.
so um, the filter was based off of, there was a University of Georgia study. I think it was 2014, and I actually referenced it as one of my videos. Um, and they did a kind of a classic conditioning test with deer to determine
Yeah.
like what color spectrum they can pick up, and they basically just kind of, and also through biology they can figure out that they have red
Right.
green color blindness. But what I don't do, and it's because we really can't represent the blues that they see,
Yeah.
and a lot of times, I say that, there's no way we're really going to capture how it is they see, but we can get a
Yeah.
general idea. But because they can see that UV spectrum and we can't, how can I show you that? If we can't see it, how can I show it to you?
Right.
And so we can only assume that basically it's just so much brighter for them, in low light settings. And that's really what it is. And I could enhance the blues, but really I'm just guessing at that point. And so I'm just trying
Yeah.
to, keep it. So if you don't have blues in your pattern, then, it's not really going to be enhanced anyway. So,
And
I
those
don't do
are the
that.
things that it's interesting that you look at it the same way that I try to create those patterns. And that's why I was asking, I guess, is because the way that you mimic that stuff, that's how I think everybody tries to approach, development and camouflage.
I
And
believe so.
there's a whole bunch of science that goes into it and stuff, but really you just got to break it down to the basics of nature. Right? Like
Right.
that's sort of how I do it.
And yeah, and it's kind of funny because, especially with mimicry patterns, so you've got, most of the patterns that people wear are mimicry. And,
Yeah.
but the truth is they're, all that stuff is really lost on a deer's eye.
Yeah.
But the other thing is that the real thing that they're looking at is also lost. So they're not getting those details. And I think I can kind of go back a little. The way that I got into this was that, as I started shifting my hunting from the East Coast to the West Coast and to the Midwest, I was like, well,
Right.
a lot of this camo is expensive. Which one would do
Right.
the best? And that's what started. I started with, I think, 9 patterns, and now I'm at over
You said
160.
you're still married.
Yeah, yeah. Um,
I think you probably have the most camouflage out of anybody that I've ever. I'm like,
oh,
man,
I've got this massive pile.
Oh gosh.
And I mean, some of it, stuff gets sent to me.
Okay. Okay.
And
That's
now do buy it now just so, I can get more things into me, but I can't wear it all. I'm trying to figure out a system to get other people to do it. You were kind of talking about the, wanting to have the patterns and have them, so I guess licensed to different ones. So is that what a goal is for like the next couple of years, or next few years? You're just going to do some testing and then maybe and also sell some, but then eventually do licensing.
so. One of the major things that we're trying to do is like to. It sounds dumb, but I created the camouflage to yes for the LLC because we're like an LLC, but we also have a nonprofit too, and um, we have an archery range that we started, and really that was to generate some income to start helping us with this archery range. But I would love to just dabble, right? Like I want to give people options. I think
Yeah.
options are incredibly important, and that's why I sort of just created so many because I just saw there was a sort of a gap in the camouflage world where it's like, oh, I'm just going to offer you one thing, and that's all you get to wear. I want. What if I don't want that, but I like the pants and I just, I like to match. Because the guys that I know, they like to just match stuff. Some guys don't, and I just want to offer that opportunity, and it's going to cost the same amount. So, um, yeah, I'd love to sell a little bit, see how it goes. If somebody wants to use that pattern on a whole different type of clothing, I'm all about that too. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So what would you like if I'm wearing this out and somebody says, "Hey, what is that?" What would you want me to tell them?
Yeah, just One Mission Outdoors. Go check those guys out. They are an all veteran owned and operated group. We just try to showcase what we love to do and how the outdoors helps us along the way. And by wearing our apparel, you're supporting, business in the United States, and you're helping vets, try to earn money for other things, and to grow as a network across the United States. That's what I would say.
Yeah. So somebody could get this if they wanted right now. So if somebody said, I
They
wanted.
could. They can hit me up anytime. One Mission Outdoors at gmail.com, or you can just, we're on Instagram, we're on Facebook. It doesn't really matter. You can hit me up and I'll get you something.
Well, I'll tell you what, how about what I'll do is we'll get this out there, and then um, I'll run a little thing, and we'll let a number of my subscribers and followers, and you can join in too, and push it, and I'll actually buy one of these guys one of these shirts, their pattern choice, if that would work.
Whatever pattern they want. If they want a lightweight hoodie or just something like this, we can do all that.
Okay, all right. Well, we'll set that up. But yeah, I appreciate you talking to me.
Yeah, it's been fun.
To be entered in the drawing to win the free hoodie, first check out the patterns by choosing the mission shop at onemissionoutdoors.com from their homepage. Then go to the Camo Matrix Instagram page or the Facebook page and comment on the One Mission Outdoors post by tagging at One Mission Outdoors and mentioning the pattern that you'd like. Follow the details below in the video or on Instagram and Facebook postings to get the details. Good luck and thanks for watching.